Now we're recording.
Damn it. The pressure.
I know.
Gotta get my radio voice going.
So, I guess we probably don't even want to do an intro. We'll just pretend we've been doing this forever.
Episode 732
Yes.
of...
As always, this is Gil.
And this is Paul.
All right.
Nothing new on that front.
So you were saying you're talking to somebody about chat platforms or about Slack. What was that?
Well, I tend to go on tangents, but I think what I ended up talking about there was... this is just on podcasts in general. I guess that's a good way to start, right?
Yeah.
So, with video, right? A lot of vloggers and things on YouTube. You're carrying around a camera and things, and I think actually... to immediately reference one of kind of the inspirations for this podcast, in a recent Cortex, I think he's talking to Mike.
Yeah.
And he was doing vlogs in his life, and he made this point about, if you point a camera at somebody in your life, you're like requesting a performance of them, basically.
Yeah.
And that's what you get with video. With audio, it's really... It's a different kind of ballgame because you can just possibly be secretly recording people. I'm not sure the legal repercussions of that, but otherwise, it's really not. I don't think people feel as much like they're giving a performance if you just say like this is being recorded or again secretly. So that kind of, I'm not sure how I got from chat platforms to that, but
Yeah. Well, before this, I think we were talking about a podcast where the people that are on the podcast don't know that they're recording a podcast.
Yeah. Well. Like I was going to say, so the cool thing that I think would be, have you ever used those Snap spectacles?
No, I've never seen them in person. I've heard of them, obviously, but...
This is back to the vlog type thing, but those are, I've wanted them, and they had that marketing, like, I don't know if you saw it, but they made them only available by, like, dispensing machines and everything.
They like dropped one in Venice or something, or like some places in California.
Yeah, and I was tempted to drive to one several times, but it didn't end up happening. But the podcast equivalent of that, at least in my mind, with the phone that I have is, so Shure makes this little like inch long plug-in thing. So it plugs into the lightning port on iPhones that have lightning port. Or no, wait.
I have a lightning port.
You have a lightning port.
Audio jack.
Okay, yeah. Never mind. I was thinking about audio jacks or something. But yeah, so it would work with your phone. They make a little microphone. It plugs in. And it's $80 or something. It's not cheap for a microphone, but you get like really solid sound quality.
Oh, okay.
Wherever you go and everything. So I had one of those for a little while before I returned it. Because I was like, that was kind of when I wanted to get into podcast stuff. And it doesn't work that great though.
Yeah, that'd be cool for like I kind of had an idea of like if like two people were like maybe commuting to work together, like doing a podcast, like the Drive to Work podcast or something like that.
Does someone not do that already?
I don't know, but it seems like that'd be fun and be like a great use of otherwise useless time.
I was always thinking you just listen to podcasts on the commute to work, but you can make one and carpool.
Yeah.
Huh. That would be a good, actually. We should start driving places or something.
Yeah. Right here is too comfortable and easy. But yeah, you were talking to somebody about Slack.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The only point that I wanted to make here, and then I want to get into the ones that you're in, but Slack for me, so I've created Slack, so I'm a big fan of Slack. And before that I've been in like probably at least 20. And they just have this professional feel to them because they're made for small teams and professionals, and that makes sense. I guess it should be that way, right? And I don't know what it is about Discord, and maybe you can comment on this, but holy heck, every Discord I've ever seen is like just trash talk, memes, not complete sentences, and lowercase. Like it's just
I've added so many Discords. But I've only got like 4 active ones right now.
Oh, yeah?
4 active servers. But I don't know how I've never told you about this, but I have a Slack group for we're probably going to talk about Hello Internet and Cortex here and there, but I made a Slack channel for Cortex working group. and there's like I think like 100 people in there, and we just like talk about work stuff. It was like kind of based out of the idea of like Gray and Mike's. The podcast is really just them having lunch, talking.
Yeah.
And so I tried to like recreate that in a Slack group where everybody's just kind of at work but talking about like what they're doing and stuff like that.
So it's called Cortex.
Yeah, it's called Cortex Working Group. Yeah, it's an unofficial property of the Cortex.
Like they're not in there, right?
No.
Okay.
Just a bunch of listeners. I've just posted on the Reddit once or twice, and a lot of people joined.
Huh. And but that's a Slack.
Yeah, it's a Slack channel. Yeah.
That's super cool, and I want to join it.
Yeah, I'll invite you to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of Slack, especially for business because of that. There's just like rules in Slack that are kind of unsaid that everybody knows.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not kind of similar to like Reddit to the point where like you're not like as far as like the community goes and understanding the rules. Like you don't like spam things. You talk about work a lot, but Discord's like the opposite of that.
Reddit has legitimate mods.
Well, there is yeah.
And I don't know that it would, it might be a lot of shit posting and there are some, subreddits that are not great quality, but I don't know. And there actually are guides on Slack, like, I don't know about every little feature, but like for threads, they have like thread etiquette guidelines on their website where they just post, and it's obvious, like only use a thread if you don't say something irrelevant in a thread reply or something.
And like by default, they have the random channel for the people that just want to talk. Like, I feel like, especially like where I work, I introduce Slack to the company, and quickly people understand. Like, if you start correcting people, like this is the wrong channel for this, and then everybody kind of gets in, and everybody learns very quickly. They keep things like if you don't keep it organized, and then it's kind of useless.
Well, I have 2 complaints about Slack, and then we can talk about Discord some. Or do you want to talk about your Discords? How do you want to do this?
No. What do you have about? We'll finish up Slack.
I really love Slack. My one easy complaint that's very quick to make is just that as an administrator, I cannot add people to a channel. Like the only way that you can force someone to join a channel is if they haven't joined the Slack yet, and you have the default channels that they're in set to certain stuff. So like, and every time, I can't imagine a situation where this doesn't happen. You start with whatever channels, whether it's the default or even if before you invite people, you create a couple extra channels. And everybody joins and they're in those channels then, right?
Yeah.
But then as you go along, you create more channels. And it just every single time I've ever it's been a thing that I've wanted to have these people that join later join new channels.
Right.
But then I can't force the old people into one of the new channels, and I just have to really market that there are other channels to people.
Yeah. My introduction to Slack was in a freelance thing that I was doing, and we had that same problem. So when I introduced it at my agency, I tried to think of all the channels beforehand and get them going, and then set all the defaults and then invite everybody, because really all you can do is invite somebody to a new channel, and it's kind of cumbersome.
Yeah.
But I like it a lot. It's also super expensive at scale, because you get 200 people into the tool, and it's an irreplaceable tool that nobody else can use, that you can't live without.
And it's by member, right?
Yeah, well then it's free, but then they're if you have more than 4 connections and these other things and video chat, then you have to pay. But it's not there's not a tiered, it's starts at $7 a person per month or something.
Yeah.
So it's very expensive at large scale, but for small teams it's fairly workable. So it's similar to G Suite, how that kind of scales, but G Suite has a lot more to offer.
I'm in a Slack, right? I'm in the Louisville Tech Slack, which is just louisville.slack.com. And they are pretty big to the point that, there's not that many posts, but they have a jobs channel, and old jobs postings are just, they get archived because you reach your 10,000 message
that's the other thing
limit. And that's the big annoyance, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah. So Discord, though, I've recently discovered Discord because I've been obsessed with cryptocurrencies.
Oh, yeah,
So
those are.
I'm joining all of the crypto Discord channels, servers, whatever they're called.
I don't know what it is, but that's the guy that I. Oh no, actually, he said Telegram was big for cryptocurrencies.
I don't like Telegram. I've tried it a few times, and maybe I'm using it wrong, but it's like everybody's in the same thing, and it's just like a waterfall of messages.
Yeah.
And I can never tell what's going on. There's like no organization the way there is in
I don't
Slack.
like it either. Go ahead with the Discord thing, and we'll get back to Telegram.
Yeah, well, yeah, I've tried Telegram a few times, but I only join like these channels that exist in Discord because it has the same thing where there's like groupings for topics, and then there's also moderators, which maybe there is in Telegram, but usually whoever owns the server or whatever. So like if there's like an announcement channel usually in these things, and then there's like talking about mining or staking, or talking about other coins, and keeping those conversations organized is very important. That's what makes Slack great. That's why subreddits are great. It's not just one huge thing. So yeah, I've been really liking Discord a lot for that reason. But if you join one for any other thing, there's either like not nearly enough talk, or there's like way too much talk, and it's all like nonsense. So it's hard to find
for anything that's not crypto related.
No, not anything, but just like I've joined other Discord channels, and I keep running into that problem. So I think that there are like lots of channels, servers. I don't know what to call them, but it's hard to find like a good one. I feel like I keep having to try it and say, "Oh, this one's not like super organized," and then I leave.
I think they're called servers, right?
Okay,
and
yeah,
the thing here's one of my complaints about Discord is that the term server really makes me feel like you have to host your own thing.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not very descriptive.
And I think you can host your own thing with Discord.
Maybe, I have no idea.
I think you can, but also it's like Slack where you just create, it's the equivalent of a Slack team, I guess they call them on Slack.
Oh, so it's not like a self-hosted thing, because that would be kind of insane to self-host some sort of Discord, like big enough Discord thing.
I should check on this, but the last I remember, I think you can host your own.
Oh, okay.
But I know for a fact that like I could create one on my computer right now, and it wouldn't, be locally dependent on this computer.
Yeah, that's what confuses me about calling it a server, because it doesn't seem like an actual server, I guess, unless it can be self-hosted. Maybe you can call it your server, but...
Yeah, and there's all other kinds of ones. Someone recently, there's like a decentralized one I don't remember the name of, but another one, have you ever used Rocket Chat?
I tried that out. So when I was looking at getting people on board to Slack, like I said... I looked at Rocket Chat because I think it's open source, or it's just like freeware, or like a free app or something. But I think you can self-host that. And we set that up and tried it out. I can't remember why I still chose Slack, but I've used it a little bit.
I used Rocket Chat one time for a crypto-related thing, and it was rough. Mostly just the app. I don't know if it's because I'm on iPhone SE and it wasn't set up to look proper on an iPhone SE, but it did not look like things were overlapping each other and stuff. And
it just looked like its goal was to be Slack.
Yeah.
So I figured, let's just go with Slack.
Let's go back to Slack so I can talk about my bigger problem with Slack. Or maybe not problem, but I think it's really weird the way that they do this. So what Slack does is the general channel can be renamed.
If you hear a moan, that's my dog. I'm sorry about that.
The general channel can be renamed to anything. You can name it anything. But it has special properties, right? So for one, you can't make it not something that people join automatically. Mm-hmm. It is always a thing people join when they join the Slack. It is what they see first when they join the Slack, the page they're first presented with postings by people and all. Mm-hmm. So there's that about it. But the thing, if that was it, it'd be fine, whatever. You can't force people to, you can't delete your general channel. It's a special thing. And I like that and it makes sense. But where it really starts to be weird for me is that you can only lock down the general channel.
How do you mean lockdown?
So, say you want it to be that only mods or only you or whatever can post in a channel. And that's great because, like, so for, again, this Tech Louisville thing, they're trying to make a persistent just jobs board that is like only the jobs and none of the chatter between them that people have posted. And you can't just create like jobs posting. So there's a jobs channel and people talk and there's lots of conversation that like pushes the jobs,
Right.
you know, into the archive. But you can't just create a channel that's just called like job listings or something and then have one person set as a moderator and just, you know, paste or share the messages to that channel or whatever. Because then you would have, if you could do that, you just have all these nice job listings and none of the chatter in between. And I'm sure there's lots of other opportunities, but the fact is that you can't do that with a channel unless it's the general channel.
I didn't even know that you could do that with the general channel.
Well, what people do usually is that they will sometimes turn the general channel into an announcements channel, and then they will have it locked down and they will just post announcements in there.
Gotcha.
And
Yeah,
I-
Discord does that to where only moderators can post.
I think they I don't know, but I bet they probably let you do it with any channel, which makes so much sense to me. So my trick about it now is I think the next time I create a Slack, I'm going to rename general to some other channel, right? That is less important. And then I'm going to create a new general channel
Right.
and make it a thing that people join by default.
Yeah.
So then no one will know any difference. Well, no, they will know because whenever they join, whatever the default is what they'll see the very first time. So what I think I want to do basically is have like a tutorial channel, like change general to the name of tutorial, so that I can lock it down and post things in there as to like, this is how Slack works. Because a lot of times people are just like, they don't really know the workings of Slack. And Slack does not make it easy to find channels.
No, it doesn't.
Like you have to just, in the app at least, you have to tap channels, which doesn't look like a button. And it's like, here's the rest of the channels. And so it's a weird concept to people. So I think I want to do is have the general be a locked down tutorial channel where I just post, you know, this is how you do stuff. And then have like another general channel that I make myself that doesn't really have the special permissions like the original general channel does. And then once the ball is rolling or whatever, if I want to turn tutorial into something else, like announcements or jobs or whatever, the point is, you know, the problem we're facing with the tech channel right now is if we wanted to turn the general channel into the locked down jobs posting channel, no one would be in the new general channel. And this brings me back to my first problem where I can't force everyone into a new channel.
Yeah.
So, you know, that just basically sabotages the general channel. The idea is kind of making sure from the very get-go that you have the things set up right.
Yeah, I think they like try and curb that a little bit with pinned posts and also the new reply thing. So if people were using it properly, they would reply to the job postings and there'd be a new thread created under that job posting.
Yeah.
And then it would keep everything nice and neat together. And if you wanted to go in and see the thread, you could. But asking people to like use things correctly is like a never win.
The other thing I wanted them to do is just not allow, well, I don't know how this would work, but if you could somehow force threads, you know, like just no one is allowed, like one person can post jobs or whatever, and then everyone just gets to comment. And, you know, these are rules that Reddit has had.
Right. I think that is something that's lacking from Slack.
Slacking.
Is just like power user type features like that.
Yeah.
It's like it's a great tool, but like they don't give the owner of the, you know, team or whatever fine enough control over what everybody can do.
Yeah. The other new feature, so one of the new features that really frustrated me with Slack too is for a little while, I think we're out of this period, but at some point in time they were A/B testing, allowing people to have invite links. And so you just had to create one. Like when you create a Slack, it asks kind of like how many people are going to be in here. And I have a feeling that based on your response, they either allowed you to have an invite link or not. So I just created like at least 3 Slacks just for the fact of seeing if I got the ability to invite people by link, because it didn't mean anything to me if I couldn't invite people by link.
Yeah, that's another really annoying thing too, is that you have to like invite them by email. You can't just like post a thing on Reddit without creating some like Heroku app that's automatically
you
generates.
can do that now.
You can do that, but you can't like
not
Slack.
the Heroku. No.
So Slack gives you like send this link and just put any email address in and you get an invite?
I don't know if some are grandfathered into not allowing that, but like the Slacks that I'm creating of recent all have, even in the introduction thing, they even say like, would you like an invite link? But then also anytime you can just generate an invite link.
Okay. That's fairly new then, because I haven't created one in a while, but I always hated that.
And then anyone can just type in their email and they get the invite thing, and you don't have to host a Heroku thing or whatever. I thought about that and I was like, nope.
Yeah. For the Cortex one, somebody had to make like a Heroku app thing, and it kept like breaking. And
come on, Slack. That's what Discord is interesting in that respect, because you get like those invite links, and I should learn more about Discord, because every time I click those links, it just is like this is broken. This doesn't work anymore.
Also, am I doing something wrong, or does every team that I join, do I have a separate email address and password for each one? It seems
that's a thing in Slack. So
that's very annoying.
So I think the idea is they're really just focused on that small team thing, and you really don't need to be in 6 Slacks.
Yeah.
If that's the case. So it shouldn't be a big deal if you're actually using it for its like main purpose. And I think I even tweeted at them, and they replied to me that like, oh yeah, that's a feature that we're implementing. So yeah, you don't have a master Slack account. I've had friends that have been very confused, like they've had Slacks for work, and I've created a Slack and invited them. They're like, oh yeah, I have Slack. I'll just log in. Oh
yeah,
nope.
I have to like we need to get like a new computer or something. Like, oh geez, I need to like remember all the channel names and send the magic link things because I don't know my passwords.
Well, they do have a feature now where you can. So there is like a master thing. I don't think it works on the phone, but it like in the phone there's a button like, add other channels you're a part of or other teams you're part of, and you click it, and it takes you to Safari or whatever.
Okay.
And you log in on Slack's like webpage, and it does have a master list of everything you've ever been a part of.
Gotcha.
So there's, I was losing my mind because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm part of Slacks that I don't even remember anymore, and they're different on my computer versus my phone client.
When I like join a new one, like sometimes at work I'll find one, and I'll join it, and I'm like, oh, okay, now I need to sign in on my phone, and I need to go at home and sign in on my personal computer. But with Discord, it's like you have the one login, and then you're just associated with different servers, which I like a lot. But you lose that, and it's not built for business though.
Do you use the magic links?
I sometimes. I'll usually try the password I think it is. If that doesn't work, and then I'll send a link.
I don't understand. Yeah, so I love when they give me a code through my phone. I guess maybe if you have emails popping up like as a notification, that might be useful. But I don't do that, and then you have to go delete the email, and like you're bouncing around like on a phone. I don't know. You go out of the app, go to your email, click on the thing. It's like opening a Safari tab that then redirects you to this. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's kind of a hacky fix. But I'd rather do that than like reset password or whatever, something like that.
Yeah, it's not a fan of the magic link thing. It's a neat concept, but
you said you liked Telegram. So what do you? I don't get Telegram and why it's so popular.
Yeah. I don't know that I like Telegram. I've only ever used one Telegram group thing. I don't even know what they're called, and it was Crypto Aquarium or something. These guys have it's Coindex, I think, is the app that they develop, and they made that just shows you like prices and stuff.
Gotcha.
But then they made a community around it, and for some reason it was on Telegram, and like I joined it. Oh, yeah, no, I don't like it.
Okay. So what didn't you like about it? Because when I've logged into 2 different ones, and it was just like so many messages I couldn't keep track of what was going on. The way it was organized didn't make any sense, and before I even participated, I deleted it. Well,
what I thought was interesting about Telegram is that when there was a time like a year-ish ago where maybe 2 years now, bot was like the most popular word in
Oh,
Silicon
really?
Valley. Do you remember that or
Yeah.
anything?
Yeah.
And Telegram at the time or shortly thereafter really embraced that, and they seemed like they were going to have a really cool bot platform where you could, interact with these like Papa John's bot or whatever and order a pizza and things.
Gotcha.
So I was like, oh, okay, maybe that's been their plan all along, and that's all they've ever wanted to do. But now it's now, and I'm not seeing a whole lot of people using Telegram
Okay, so maybe
bots.
there's like a lack of direction in there. They don't know what they
I don't
want to
know.
do.
Well, Skype was on board with the bots too, because Microsoft is just trying to get in the game. But
Yeah, when bots are more useful, I'll really be excited. But they're just like so useless right now that can't really use them. It is still kind of cool depending on if you're like for a very specialty thing, maybe like an advanced sort of FAQ situation for like Facebook or something instead of having to field emails. Something like that might be cool.
well, let me do my bot spiel because I love the idea of it. Here's basically the thing to me. So number one, this is like a little bonus, but it effectively just makes an API for everything.
Yeah.
If you just
Right. Yeah.
you just have to text, and the commands that get you through the menu properly, even if they don't have an API, you just use the bot, right?
Yeah, I would
Which is
love
really
for
cool.
in my messages on iPhone for there to be like a pinned message to Siri all the time, and I could just text Siri instead of like turn on the lights or stuff like that instead of
at the
having to
very top,
voice it.
Facebook has their M thing.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Only appears for me sometimes. I don't really.
Yeah, I'm boycotting Facebook Messenger. It drives
Yeah.
me crazy. But sorry, I interrupted. You were saying.
Well, no, Facebook. Oh man, they have a whole bot thing going on, and they're probably the most successful right now.
Yeah, they do have, I think, the best ones, and they're even very there are apps you can use that can set up a Facebook bot in like a few minutes.
Yeah.
But I just hate the Facebook Messenger so much because just for the simple fact that every time I log in, it asks me to turn on notifications, and it gives me notification, and I'll get a little red thing at the top saying, oh, somebody posted something in Facebook, or they cross promote to other things. It's I want this to be one thing, and I want no notifications. But every time I log in, I get all these things popping up telling me to do other things, so I just stop opening it.
The thing that did it for me, they broke it off from Facebook app, which is a whole other story. Do you remember the Facebook app used to be literally dysfunctional? There was you can do anything.
But that was probably when it was they were just pulling in their web app.
Yeah, that was, I don't know what they were doing. It was like when they had little icons, there were 6 icons across the screen.
Yeah.
Anyway, after that, though, they decided to break Messenger off. And when they did that, okay, you want it to be its own app, I guess that's fine, whatever. On Android phones, the Messenger thing, did you ever see that?
No.
A little circle with the person who is messaging you's face
I have seen
is
that.
just on your screen.
Yeah.
I was like, no, Facebook.
I was in the first time I saw that was I was in a Pokemon raid, and somebody had a big face on their screen while they're doing the raid, and I was just like, what is that?
Oh, man. All right, back to bots. So I think it's really cool because it creates an API for everything, basically. But what's really powerful about it is, so ultimately, I don't know if you've seen the movie Her.
No. I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah, it's there's kind of a love story plot thing, but it's just a futurism movie, and the vision there is really that everyone really just has an earpiece and communicates through voice for technology. And I think there's a lot of accuracy there because you just get kind of voice recognition stuff a little bit farther along, and even in the interim text, which is basically just a bot, you get this really powerful ability, kind of back to the command line here, where you can, just a couple combinations of characters gives you a lot of power, or natural human language, and you combine that with kind of the things that figure out exactly what you're actually trying to get it to do. My point is that text allows for some really powerful capabilities, and you either don't need a screen at all, or maybe you just need a really basic screen that's old school, kind of maybe it only shows a couple letters or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think, at this point, probably everyone will just end up with smartphones, but you've got Africa coming online with this, I think there's going to be a lot of new people. And I've seen a lot of articles that has people they're generally leaning more towards audio-based stuff and text and things like that. So I don't know. I mean, it's low on data bandwidth and things like that. So
I think part of the reason too why I would like maybe like a Siri in my phone book that I could text is because it allows for like an asynchronous sort of conversation. So maybe I can say, "Oh Siri, like every morning text me the weather," instead of me having to ask. You know what I mean? So or like text me when like a package is delivered or stuff like that, rather than having to go through voice and ask, and it's very like back and forth. It allows for like an asynchronous sort of communication with this thing, which is Siri.
Yeah, this is a sort of a point that Elon Musk has made at times, where the bandwidth of people like communicating with the computer, human computer interaction is just atrocious, right?
Yeah.
So like right now, if I want to look something up, I could use Siri, which is a lot better, but realistically, in most cases, I'm going to go to Safari, I'm going to type in something, it's going to load data. If I'm trying to figure out like, what the backside of the moon looks like or something, what's going to end up happening is that I've got to load Google, I've got to load all the search results, I've got to just for me to get what is only a couple kilobytes. That's a bad example because it's a picture, but like if I was looking for information, I would end up having to load images and everything.
Yeah.
And what would be just bytes of data that I really want out of it ends up being, possibly into the realm of minutes to find.
Yeah.
And takes, possibly megabytes or at least kilobytes of data to find it out. So there's so much data waste and time waste in just finding out a piece of information. So if you take that down to a text-based system, you get some really interesting possibilities.
Yeah, I've never thought about it that way, but that's interesting.
Yeah, but one really cool company. So there's a company that's called Made in Space, and the same guy that did that company, as I know it because first I knew Made in Space, so I guess that's not super relevant. But then I found this other company is called Magic, and actually I'm not sure where they are these days, but for a while they created basically just a splash screen website. It's almost nothing. And all that happens is you text them, and a real person gets that text, and they try to make the thing that you asked happen.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. And it's like, so it's this artificial intelligence thing where it kind of feels like it's a computer, but really, there's a human on the other end.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So what do you mean by make things happen? Like order you a pizza, or just like is it funny novelty thing?
Now it's supposed to be like kind of an executive service thing. So what you end up with a lot is like, if you're a high roller, hey, I need a helicopter to here, but also like, hey, I need a pizza now. And then they just say, all right, here's the cost of the pizza, here's the cost of like our service, and they just kind of tack an extra fee on to that to make it happen.
So it's like an assistant.
Yeah. And they make their money that way.
That's really cool.
It is really cool.
Is that a US based thing? That can't be affordable.
Yeah, it's out of some like San Francisco, and
really?
I don't know people that are on the other end.
Right.
But I think they try to probably build tools to make it really efficient.
Yeah.
Can this be a fully automated response? Mm-hmm. If it's not, can we pull up all the possible answers on one side of the screen for the human operator to just pick one and then it gets sent off?
Yeah.
So there's some really interesting possibilities, and then that's what Facebook's M Messenger thingy did, or is doing. So sometimes when you ask that assistant in Facebook Messenger stuff, it goes to a real person, but also sometimes it goes to a computer.
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't know what that was then. I don't really use Facebook, but
yeah, I think it's region locked to San Francisco or something, so I've only used it once.
Gotcha.
But the whole point of that was that some of your responses go to a computer if they can, and the rest go to a human if they need to.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and I'm sure that is what's helping them go to no human eventually. So if a human answers so many questions the same way, eventually they're like, okay, that's a new thing that just the AI can do.
Yeah, and I'm really excited too about the prospect of possibly the ecosystem of bots talking to other bots and stuff getting to such a level that I can run or start a company just on my phone.
Yeah.
Or walking down the street or something.
Yeah.
Or just, really impressive achievements that usually you would need a computer to do just because you've got kind of a text-based, easy-to-use system that, apps kind of limit things to some extent, and you can't really design a logo great in an app.
Right.
So it'd be really interesting to kind of farm that out. And that kind of combines with, like this, what do they call Uber? It's like economy on demand type stuff.
Oh yeah. I don't know, but I know what you're referencing.
It's just, we might get to the point where you really could do some things just by outsourcing and just on a phone.
Yeah.
And I think that's really powerful stuff. Can we bring it back to Slack?
Yeah.
Because I can still talk about Slack. So a little while ago, you mentioned the pinning situation on Slack. And I love the pins.
Mm-hmm.
My main complaint about them is that if you pin something on the desktop client or web app, it just highlights it, which is great. It makes it like, oh, this should stand out. On the mobile app for iPhone, instead of it just turning a highlight color, the original message is untouched. And then a new message, whenever someone pins, even if that message that got pinned is like way buried, when it gets pinned, a new message appears, like the Slack bot posts a message, and all it says is like, this user pinned this message, and it repeats the message. And that's kind of okay because it brings it back from the dead a little bit, but it's so inconsistent between the mobile and the desktop.
Yeah. Sometimes I wish there were like maybe two different types of pins. One that like maybe it's limited to one at a time, but it like literally pins it to maybe the bottom of the thread so that it's always visible. And then maybe other pins that is just like a highlighted sort of thing to where, because like you said, if you pin something and it's that was a week ago and now there's a whole thing of conversations, it's kind of gone. You have to click kind of in the top area to bring the little drawer out.
I can't even describe for people where the pins are because if they're on the app or Android, like I don't even know where it is in Android.
Yeah,
it's in a different place.
Yeah, so I don't think that's implemented great. For something like you were talking about to where we're doing like, I'd love for there to be like a training thing you can click on and you can see. That would be a good thing to have pinned in an easy way. But if you're like, for somebody that's brand new that needs the training, they don't even know how to find their training because it's like lost in something.
Is there something in there? The help thing? I mean, you can look at the Slack forms or whatever, but...
Yeah, but I guess if so what I did was I kind of made my own bot. So in Slack, you can give custom responses to things. Yeah. So what I did was I told everybody, if you want to if you need help with something, type !help.
Oh, okay.
And then the bot would reply and send all the things, like all the FAQs that you could ask, which were also pre-programmed to give the answers.
You did that all in, like you didn't actually code something, right? It was just built into the...
It was all just like whatever the predetermined responses are. So like the first thing was to get what things you can ask, and then you copy and paste that. Or no, I gave each one like another command, !
Nice.
Pin. And then it will send either a link or like an explanation of how that thing works. So that's how I handled it. But maybe they have something better. But as far as like how to show people that's even a thing, I just had to tell them because it was pinned, but nobody could ever find it.
What I did was, so I created a Slack that was for people that were going to see the Falcon Heavy launch.
Nice.
And so I had all these problems I've been talking about, but the other problem is just, for a company that is so about design and things like Slack, they just suck at discoverability of the features.
Yeah.
And so, at least for channels, what I did was I had pins was a hopeless situation. Mm-hmm. They either would find them or they wouldn't, and people don't know that they can pin stuff. They think I am the only one with that ability, where meanwhile I don't even have the ability to turn off other people's ability to pin things.
Yeah.
But so one of the things was the channels thing is very hard to find, I think. So what I did was I made a custom Slack bot response where if it saw the word channels just not even with an exclamation point. I was just
Yeah.
like, let's just make this happen as much as possible. It would post just a preset response that was all the channels. And then
Yeah.
I had a little emoji with each channel. And the
That's
thing
good.
about that was that I had to go, every time I added a channel, update the bot,
Yeah.
which was really not a great workflow, but I think it made people pretty informed about what there was.
Yeah, that's smart though, because it's kind of hard to find that, especially like even on desktop sometimes, because I don't join channels too frequently, but when I do, I have to like think for a little bit, like where do I even go? Because that just looks like a title, and you just, I guess you click on the
Yeah.
actual thing.
I always end up creating a channel every
Yeah.
time. I'm like, oh wait, no,
Yeah.
this is not the place.
It's not
I
clear
leave.
that that does anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One more thing on the topic of Slack. Google, I know nothing about this, so it's going to be a short topic, but Google, like yesterday, I think, released their alternative to Slack.
Oh, really? I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, well, I was interested because I was like, oh, Google. Maybe it has like cool Google things built in.
Mm-hmm.
But then I saw that it's kind of like built on the Hangouts platform,
Oh, okay.
and it immediately just complete disgust and disinterest. So I was like, moving on.
Is it like branded something else, or is it just tacked on to Hangouts?
Oh man, I wish I knew the name, but I think it has Hangout in the name of it,
Okay.
and that's why I was like, nope. It's just
I do like Hangouts for the video conferencing because it's really
Yeah.
easy to set up. You can even attach it to your meeting invite, like just with the checkbox, or you can have your like evergreen sort of URL that you can send people, and you can just, if you both join at the same time, you can talk. Or like a lot of the other ones, you have to download something or create some sort of other account. Everybody has a Gmail account, so I do
Yeah.
like Hangouts a lot, but I couldn't imagine. Like, I know some people that keep like their they use their Outlook, they use like web Outlook at work instead of like the app Outlook. There's like something in my brain that won't let me do that. Like for things that are always open, they need to be an app, and then the web browser is like meant for something else.
yeah.
I couldn't like keep something like Hangouts live in a web browser at all times. It'd have to be some sort of separate thing, which maybe it is, but
I think for me, if Hangout were disassociated from profiles, it would be perfect. And there are some things that are kind of like that. I think I used one called Zoom the other day.
haven't
And-
heard of Zoom.
But there are at least a few where it's set up basically, just like, hey, here's a link, click it, and then we're going to do a web chat.
Gotcha,
Through.
yeah.
So it's, pretty simple. But I really like Google's thing where whoever's talking gets like back to the screen thing.
Yeah, I do like that a lot.
And that's about all that I care about, really.
Yeah, because I hate having
is
my
useful.
face on screen when I'm not saying anything, especially, and it just makes sense when you have multiple people. That's really, I guess, the only solution, but it's a simple solution. I use that all the time. Me and a friend of mine were doing some like freelance web design, sort of like or like branding stuff, and we used that with like client calls, and it was very, very nice.
That's cool. So my computer died.
There you go.
Oh, good call. Man, this is one of the few times where, like these things, it's just there's never a cord.
Oh, yeah, no. So, what just happened was, computer died and we use USB-C. I say that because I really want the iPhone to have USB-C, because I just want to have one charger with me, and then for some chip to know how much power to give it. So, like, I'm very annoyed that I have to carry, like, in my backpack, I have a charger for my laptop, and then I've got a USB-C to Lightning, and I've got a USB, I guess, A, like regular USB to Lightning, depending on whether or not I want to charge or hook up to my laptop.
So you have you're rocking the dongle over there.
Yeah. I would love to just like, oh, I have my laptop computer. Okay, I can charge or connect my phone using that one cable.
Yeah, I'm very much with you on
I think
that.
they're trying to get to that. Ideally, I think they want everything to be wireless, so maybe they're just like, or I'm not going to bother.
Can't
And
be bothered.
like this USB-C is like 0.5 millimeter thicker, so we're going to stick with Lightning, but
I would feel a little weird with USB-C on an iPhone, but you know what I honestly think maybe the thickerness of this new iPhone is just getting you ready for that
maybe.
when they stick a USB-C in there, and so they have room and everything.
Yeah. I mean, I can't see them really doing that, but I would like that.
I wouldn't think it's impossible, but we haven't been on Lightning for too long either. I don't know.
Yeah. I remember when Lightning started and the 30-pin dot connector, people were like freaking out. And I was like, what are you kidding me? This is so much better.
What's really interesting though with the MacBook that, I guess all of the models of MacBooks now is, so two things. Number one, the MacBook Pro has USB-C on both sides, and I don't even care about having more than one port, but having the ability to charge your computer on either side.
No, yeah.
I don't remember if I said this on the last podcast because it seems.
No, I don't think you did, but I definitely agree because I was just charging and it was on the opposite side, and I hate this. I don't know, maybe this is just me complaining, but I hate that there's this big kink in the cord that's wrapped around, and I feel like if somebody walks and kicks this off, it's for sure flying across the room. There's no chance of it just being pulled out.
So much for the magnetic thing. But then the other thing that's cool with this USB-C is that I guess the only real difference here is that the USB-C cord is not hard attached to the brick.
Yeah,
right?
I like that.
So what this means though is if you get a little mobile charger or something, like a handheld charger, and you get a thing that just turns USB into I gotta think about this. So male USB to female USB-C.
Yeah.
Regular
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So basically, you could take a mobile charger that's like a pocket portable charger and potentially charge your computer.
Yeah, or your phone or whatever, because that's why I want the iPhone to be USB-C, so that I can have that makes that stuff possible to where my backup charger or my travel charger is just a female USB-C, and they say, okay, this is all you need. You can charge anything that you're taking with you.
That'd be cool. But I'd be curious. I'm not super sure that it's safe to charge your computer by plugging it into a USB port.
That's one of those things that
without the brick
that I would not trust third-party suppliers of. It'd have to be made by there has to be a chip in there that knows what it's connected to.
But it would be less power,
Well, if it's something I guess what I'm saying is if I charge what I normally plug into my laptop into my phone, using that brick, the brick that's plugged for the MacBook, and then I put that into my phone, is that going to mess it up at all? It needs to be smart in some way to know how much power.
I'm saying right now, without Apple doing anything, I could unplug the end of the USB-C that's plugged into the wall, and I could plug it into a portable charger, and then my computer would be charging that portable charger. I'm not sure if that's okay.
Oh yeah,
it feels it would be alright.
Too sure about that, but I think if it would be less, it'd be okay, just slower. I don't know. I'm not an electrical engineer.
Yeah, I'm not so sure on that one. All right, did we knock it out with these? There's still several chat platforms, but I really don't care about most of the other ones.
Yeah, and for our first episode, just talking about chat platforms, we're at 50 minutes. So
we're
doing okay.
It's just that's what the episode is.
All right.
One more thing on Signal.
Signal?
Yeah, Signal. So there's Telegram and Signal, and as far as I can tell, they are basically identical.
Okay. I've never used or heard of Signal.
Telegram supposedly encrypts stuff. Signal is what I've found to be the hardcore thing. The crypto people apparently use Discord and Telegram a decent amount, but people that I've met that are the ones that post their private or their public keys on their websites because they want you to be able to communicate with them, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Have used Signal because apparently it is more secure in some respect.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool looking.
So I have one last thing to say about, I guess, another chat platform. We have WeChat on here.
I did put WeChat.
So I've never used that at all, but I know that pretty much everybody in China does everything through WeChat.
Yeah.
If you go to the store, or even if you go to a Chinese website or something, it always has their WeChat. You can pay right there. You don't need any sort of hardware on location. You literally just say, oh, how much do I owe you? What's your WeChat? And you pay through there.
It's great. I mean,
I would love for there to be some sort of like everybody in America uses this thing. You can pay, communicate, do anything that you want through this one app. I think that would be awesome. I'm jealous of China in that way.
So the thing, WeChat, I think it's run by their government, right? I think the government has a controlling stake in some way.
I feel like Facebook owns WhatsApp.
Yeah, they own WhatsApp. I think China's government actually controls WeChat, which means that they censor stuff on occasion. But man, they do it right otherwise, because like the fact that everyone uses it, the ability to do all kinds of crazy things.
Yeah.
I'm ready for that to come to the West.
I can't even walk into a store and like know whether or not to use the chip on my card, let alone like like Apple Pay or even something like WeChat.
Yeah, I found a really interesting long description of WeChat, like just breakdown of its features and its like user.
Yeah, it's like a whole ecosystem. Like if you're using WeChat, you don't need to use anything else. It's like it's got its whole like app ecosystem from what I know about it built into it, and it's kind of a self-contained sort of thing.
Yeah, it would be really cool to see just like a WeChat phone, and it's just the WeChat app.
Yeah,
and there isn't the ability to install their apps or something along that.
I saw something about like that affecting iPhone sales in China because people don't care about the rest of the phone. They're only in WeChat all the time.
Oh, that's pretty cool though. There's a new device coming out by, do you know Republic Wireless? They're, I think, generally like it's like an old people carrier or something.
No, I haven't heard.
I'm not super sure who uses it, but it's a carrier. And what's super interesting though is that they are creating what they call Relay Go, and it is this little what's it, like the size of like a coaster probably. It's a little square coaster device that has a battery and GPS and LTE. Well, I don't know if it has LTE, probably. At least 3G in there. And it's basically a phone, but it doesn't have a screen at all. It has one button. And if you want to talk to whoever else has it, you press the button and you say whatever, and they get the message.
How does it know who that person is?
Well, so I guess it has two buttons, because on the side there is like a switch channel button. So before, I don't think you can do it from the device, but you have preset channels of people that you want to talk to, basically.
Oh, okay.
And I'm imagining that it's not out yet, but I think when you press that side button, it cycles to like family or friends or whatever, and then you press the middle button, and it basically just behaves like a walkie-talkie where everyone gets that message.
That's kind of cool.
It has battery to last like several days, and it has Google Assistant if you like hold the button down.
I'm sure there's like a great business application for that, like in warehouses or like, things like that.
Well, so this one is aimed at children, because like for parents, your kids won't be addicted to screens. It has a GPS so you can see where they are. They can still communicate with you, and it's really playful and cool looking. That like I want one, but it's marketed towards children. And then previously, someone did a Kickstarter or Indiegogo that was a very similar concept. And it happened, and then they developed it, and I think they sort of pivoted towards it being for businesses. I don't remember the name of it right now, but it is this little like plush thing that you wear, and it kind of behaves like a walkie-talkie to just communicate with your team or whatever.
Gotcha.
And in my mind, I just want the Star Trek communicator in real life, or the comm badge is what it's called. Oh, okay. When they tap their badge and they just like
I haven't watched any Star Trek.
It's really cool because what they do, I love this concept. What they do in the show, and it's perfect use case is Star Trek, is they just tap the badge and it's like, start listening to me, and then they say Picard to whoever. And Picard's the captain. And so basically what they show on the show is immediately then whoever it was to gets the message that followed Picard to whatever, right? And so I don't know if they actually thought this through for the show, but what has to be happening if you were to make sense of this is, it has to basically be listening to what they say, like Picard to whoever. And then in a split second with that little bit, they figure out who the name was after two. And then they, basically like a switchboard person, but it's a computer.
Oh, so it's alive. It's not like a message that's then sent. It's like a Picard to
Yeah, it's
whoever, and then they're talking back and forth.
It's basically just a walkie-talkie,
Okay.
except that you specify who it goes to beforehand.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome.
And I don't know if they really thought it through, but if they did, it means that the computer figures out who it's supposed to go to, and then just with like a tiny delay conveys the message to whoever it was supposed to go to.
Yeah.
And then whoever, if they tap it on the receiver, if they tap their comm badge, then it just opens a channel basically, and it's just a phone call at that point.
Yeah. I mean, that's got to be, if not created, seems pretty simple.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Because, like, even if it takes, like, a little while to connect, like, to figure out who you want to send it to, I mean, if it's not failing, that can't take more than a few seconds, which it could just record what you're saying and then send, later until you finish talking, and then, that first message just delayed by 2 seconds, but then from there on out is live.
And then once somebody hits the thing, you can't. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. It's just such a cool thing. Man, I wish that was something.
The like walkie-talkie stuff reminds me of. Have you seen this? I saw it in like an REI, but it's basically these two antennas that you can use, and you can connect it to your phone, I guess through Bluetooth or something. Mm-hmm. And if you're like out in like the woods or like hiking really far with no cell towers, you can still communicate through the connection of these like kind of peer-to-peer radio signals.
So I think you're thinking of Gotenna, probably the company, and so I followed them a decent amount. They even did a Reddit AMA at one point.
Oh yeah.
So that they were limited by the who does
FCC.
Yeah, they were limited by those guys to a very not far range on the first model. And I don't know what's changed, but they figured it out. And so what they're pushing now is their Gotenna mesh, and it allows you can chain them basically, right?
Okay.
So even if it doesn't have the range, if there's one in between you get that.
Do you have any idea what the range is? Is it like 300? Is it like 100 yards, or is it like miles? Because
I think it's like 1 mile max or something.
That still seems so. What I'm trying to think of is like, say there's like, I forget the name of the trail, but there's a trail that goes all up the west coast, basically from Mexico to Canada. Mm-hmm. What I'm imagining is there's got to be dead spots along that route. If the government or whoever, or maybe like the national parks could buy kind of public antennas and put those like every 5 miles, and then you're just saying like, okay, no matter what, you always have communication with somebody because there's an antenna every 5 miles. Just keep walking and you'll eventually find one on the trail. Yeah, I feel like there's lots of applications like that to where like even if there's no cell signal, even if we don't get to Elon Musk's mesh network thing around the whole internet, the whole world giving everybody internet. Something like this is like a good, more low tech, like localized solution.
And they're cool little devices. Oh man, these I was tempted to get one of these at one point. They also have like an industrial. It's hard to find on their website because it's mostly a consumer facing thing here, but they have like Gotenna Pro down at the bottom of their website, and so this thing is just like first responders kind of thing that allows you to I'm trying to find the actual range on these things here.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing the Gotenna mesh.
Yeah, if you go to the bottom, the Pro is like a badass version.
So is there like a monthly, like is this a one-time purchase kind of thing, or is it monthly?
I don't think there is a recurring fee. I think they might have some kind of app that like does something not essential. I think maybe for the
I love this like checkbox thing, like graph here of what Gotenna does and what a walkie-talkie does, and there's nothing checked in the walkie-talkie column.
I mean, it's pretty cool.
Oh, here we go. Range. No, it doesn't give a range though. It says range, but it doesn't give a number.
I think for the meshes, it's not amazing, but it's like if you're kind of within, not too far from people, and the point is with mesh, you can just spread them out.
All right. Do we have anything else about chat platforms?
I think we knocked out like just communications in general.
I think we did.
The last thing, Telegram, to me, I've seen a lot of teens on Telegram. I don't know why.
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
Is it their AOL thing? Okay. I sound like an old person over here. I don't know.
AIM.
Oh.
Should we do like an outro, like thanks for listening sort of thing, or just? All right.
I think that was the outro.
Got it.